AI is not a project. It's going to be forever. And one agent did 2,500 people in 4.5 hours, has 650 calls connected. And you're not paying for the calls that don't connect. Like unlike a human has to sit on the phone, they don't connect. Okay, they're not there. Put the phone down, leave a voicemail, update the CRM.
Yeah.
The agent could just do that automatically.
Yeah.
So they had 650 conversations and booked 65 jobs.
So, welcome to Gall's Question Time, where I had the pleasure of interviewing now Piers Linney to discuss about AI and business chain. Hi, Piers.
Hello, I'm a bit nervous. School's question time.
Well,
Thanks for having me
I've
on.
been doing the podcast for over 15 years, and we've known each other for about 3 years, and it's normally a good chat. So,
Was it even called a podcast then? Or was what was it?
yeah, it was podcast, but in the old days, it used to be a digital recorder, and I'd be doing it in person with somebody, and then
Yeah.
I would post that up on Apple Podcast was around and that at that time,
Right.
and all that. Yeah, so I've been doing it quite a while. So great to have you on, Piers. So we've known each other, and we're actually working as partners now in the key area of implementing AI. But give us a brief introduction to yourself.
Well, me or the company or both.
Yeah, go on quickly, both.
They're increasingly inextricably linked. So my background very quickly because it is irrelevant. And I've been on TV, right? We all know kind of that. But my background though, I'm a lawyer by training. I was a banker at Credit Suisse. I've been in technology for God, since probably 2000 almost, since the dot-com wave 1.0. But most of my experience as an entrepreneur in business has been, I'd call it enterprise IT, really. So cloud infrastructure, unified communications, dealing with SMEs all the way up to, BAE Systems, right? We built their telecommunications infrastructure, believe it or not. Vodafone, big companies. So I've kind of got that experience and I've kind of brought that really, especially like we're talking about the channel experience. My background's really Microsoft channel. And I kind of brought that to implement AI. So we started to implement AI about maybe 3 years ago in May. It's quite a long time in this game. But we were just like, let's just do something. Just get on the pitch and kick the ball around, see what happens. We understand the tech, so we started kind of advising companies really, and they turned into doing pilots. So we did these silos of code doing pilots, and they became what we now know as AI agents, right? So we kind of did this for 2 years and realized, well, there's various insights and issues about how companies adopt this technology we can maybe solve. So we built a platform called the AI OS, essentially. And that's basically a platform that enables organizations, we've got FTSE 100s, SMEs, to deploy digital workers. So we supply digital workers that do work, not technical Lego. So you have to go and build it yourself. Then we manage them and they evolve over time, they collaborate, and we do a lot of things. And we kind of are learning that we're technology agnostic, really. Like we just changed our computer use backend right recently. It sped it up by 50%. It's amazing. It's more about orchestration. And then the difficult bit for most organizations, maybe we can talk about this, is implementation.
Yeah,
Most companies, right, they're not in some tech bubble. They haven't got a massive dev team. Even when they have, they're working on their software that runs their business, not
yeah,
backing around
yeah,
AI.
yeah,
So their sort of technical ability actually is quite limited. And most experience of technology has been projects. AI is not a project. It's going to be forever. And it's implementing, a website, an e-commerce system or a CRM. And that project went badly. So
yeah, 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 yeah,
it's interesting that
yeah.
most organizations are not ready for AI. Anyway,
So yeah, that's great intro and great jumping into the content and that there because I think couple of key points I'd pull out from what you've been saying there really is a lot of people now have seen the tools. So they're using GPT to, write emails. They're using Claude to analyze documents. And when I'm speaking to executives in companies, and they say, "Oh yeah, we're using AI now," and it's like we're using Copilot, and it's writing my emails, and it's like, and I'm sure you're seeing this as well. And I'm almost screaming at them, say, "No, that is not real AI in how it's going to transform and change your business." But I also see where what you're doing is this not having a bunch of tools and then trying to plug them together with all of the gaps, and the speed of changing this technology is phenomenal as well. So I think it's really important to emphasize, as you say, your AI operating system. and then also coming to the AI workers a bit. So a bit that I'm seeing now in programs we're doing like at Henley Business School, I'm saying to the business school, I'm saying to the executives coming to the programs is you need to think about not only about how you manage your people, but how you manage your AI workers. So could you give us a bit more of an insight into the AI workers that you've got that you can now deploy within companies?
So we've kind of put them into buckets really. Now people, it's help people understand them. So we have sales support, say customer success, we have analyst agents, and I'll come back to those, they're quite important. We have a task team, we call it, and then we have computer use, which are agents that can do remote work and use their mouse and a keyboard. And they're very, very powerful and becoming more powerful all the time. But they're highly, so you imagine our platform, right? So you've got the agents, they're highly configurable. So you might call it a support agent at the end of the day. But if you've got a nice clean workflow, that's the key. You've got a nice clean linear workflow, it can do credit control. So credit control is an invoice outstanding? Has the money come into the bank account? No. Therefore, do something. Call them, email them, WhatsApp them, whatever you need to do. Get a response and deal with it in a loop, essentially. And you might have a compliance, the good one. So compliance is that's what they should be doing. That's what they did, and do they match? That's it. So very good at that. So highly configurable. Then they've got 600 integrations into existing platforms like Salesforce, OneDrive, Outlook, whatever you need, Gmail, whatever you need. We've kind of built that in. Then you've got this task engine, and the task engine is when an agent does something. So on our website, you can talk to Ava, and she'll do like a basic kind of she'll ask you about your business. She'll sort of qualify you essentially. But then she does things. She'll send you an email, write a WhatsApp, write a document, and they're tasks. So the task engine does those sort of pieces of work they need doing after the main interaction. And then the big one's analyst agents as well. So analyst agents are very powerful. Most workflows have an analyst agent in it somewhere. So the point here is that you're not deploying a worker, you tend to deploy teams. So take sales, for example. Somebody might interact with a voice agent or on email or chat, however you want them to interact. The agent can then research that individual or that organization and prepare a report for a human or another agent to go and do something and write a report or call them back in the future. So you've always got analyst agents. Now, the other point is increasingly we're seeing that analyst agents are the first step because an analyst agent isn't like an action agent. It's not interacting with prospects, customers, stakeholders, employees. It's analyzing data. So often, this is the interesting part, is that when it's analyzing data in your systems, calls, emails, meetings, whatever data you want it to, what you'll find is they kind of bring insights to the surface you were never aware of, and you can do one or two things: get an agent, if it's appropriate, to do something about it or extract that value or monetize it, or upskill your humans to do it. So what you have is this mix of a platform that is very much about digital workers, but actually it's about augmenting humans. There's typically a human in the loop somewhere in the process, especially with call agents, because you might need it to escalate. So the point we're trying to build is a platform that allows organizations to deploy workers quite easily. We're now blueprinting workers, the popular ones. There's like apps in an app store. It's not quite as simple as that because you've got to integrate into your data and your systems, but they're almost like apps where you can just deploy them. And the idea is that you deploy workers where they make the most sense. And as the technology gets better, there are more and more use cases. So they become more and more complicated. They can do more, they can collaborate, they can run for longer, they're better at making decisions. So it's extremely powerful. The
Mm-hmm.
question for most organizations is, are you ready for it? And then you need to be, because we were saying before we started that you've got to be playing where the puck's going, not where it is.
Mm.
And I always say that your competition isn't your current competition. It's
Yeah.
people doing what you do, especially in the knowledge economy, with 25% of the people with this AI first mindset. And I'm telling you, it's a game changer. And there are things that AIs can do, and I will shut up, Andrew, don't worry. There are things AI agents can do that humans can't. Lots of data, out of hours, just basic stuff where you cannot
Yeah.
afford to pay a human to do
Yeah.
these things and
Yeah.
analyzing data.
Yeah, so let's talk about specific cases that you've implemented or like we've worked on together where you know you did a demonstration for a prospect that we were saying where the AI can do things that the humans can't do. So as you said, outside of hours or when the person is busy dealing with the other customers in front of them, that the AI agent was answering the phone, booking in, answering prices for the particular products and that they were wanting. Could you give us a bit more of an example of what, one of those implementations or one of those prospects? Because like in that case, we were giving sort of £80 million a year extra revenue because the AI was doing things that the people couldn't do, as you said, analyzing the data and doing the things out of hours. So have you got some examples where you deployed particular
Oh, yeah,
workers?
we've got lots. So we have give some examples there. FTSE 100, a big one's reactivation. So if you imagine you have sales, you've got prospects, some you close, some you don't, some you just don't interact with, some you just miss, you just don't connect for some reason. And you build up this sort of database of interested people, but you haven't quite closed them out. And you can never pay humans, to go through that data. We have
And
one example.
that data's in emails, it's in
Anyway,
recordings of calls and all
yeah.
that, isn't it? Which we're all now captured in those things, right? Because this information is captured for training and
Yeah.
regulation
Especially,
purposes. You've
especially
got all that
voice.
data.
Yeah, you should be recording everything, right? Because this data is worthwhile now. You couldn't use it before because you couldn't pay people to go through it. Now you can. So this plus 100 constituent has wants to go back and go through his database and reactivate. Now, these are quite big companies that he wants to reactivate, and the people they're calling are probably earning about 60 grand a year. They're distributors. So it's calling these people saying, "Hello, you bought from us before. You haven't bought recently. This is our new product. Are you interested?" And it's amazing how many people say, "Yeah, of course it is," because the alternative is that no one ever calls them. That's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
alternative, really. So this is just something that isn't going to happen. That's now happening. We had
So
another
I
one.
think you just sort of mentioned there about the alternative because we get pushbacks of, oh, well, the AI is not that good. You can tell it's AI, it hallucinates, it gets things wrong. What's your reaction to that comment?
There are different layers to that. So one is the models are getting better, like hallucinations. You can add QA above it to check that the data came from where you thought it did come from. But the other point is, I always say this, is that people are always complaining about AI and how it's not perfect, right? I always say, don't compare it to the almighty, right? Compare it to the alternative, which are humans who are definitely inconsistent, bad days, don't turn up to work, get things wrong. So I'll give you another good example. We mystery shop quite a few companies. We have agents call hundreds and hundreds of their shops or outlets, whatever they are. Franchises are going to be a good example, and has a conversation. Say, look, I'm calling up about this. And we had one who's a pharmacy chain, and it's calling up and it's asking questions about, weight loss treatments, and they're giving them information about their whether they're eligible or not based on their BMI, and it was wrong. So this is humans just getting literally basic compliance wrong on the phone. So what an agent can do is not do that because they were told not to do that. And B, even if they have done it, it can then go through the calls for a compliance check, pick it up, and then correct it. So
Mm,
if you put the two together, you reduce risk. But the point here is I always say that it's like a pyramid of value, isn't it? And it's been filled with technology. It's getting better and better and better. And the humans have got to move to the top and add value. That's what we're good at. But the mundane, the repetitive, the out of hours, the where is my order, stuff like that, AI should be dealing with it.
mm, mm. Yeah. And a question I often get when I'm talking about these is, oh, but it's going to replace my jobs, it's going to replace my people, and sort of stuff like that. My reaction is building on your point there. It's better than an alternative because it's supporting the people and it's doing things that your current people can't do. They can't answer the phone while they're dealing with another customer. You can't afford or you don't want to, and staff don't want to work Friday evenings, Saturday mornings when your customers might actually want to phone up and say, I've got a toothache or I need the
Yeah.
chiropractor or I need my tires changed or whatever like that, right? So how do you position that about giving the AI workers and not replacing their people and getting over that concern that people have got of, oh my god, my
Right.
company's implementing AI and now I'm going to be out of a job. How do we address that and
Yeah,
show?
so there are different levels for that, right?
Yeah.
So there are some jobs that are going to go away. So people listening to phone calls for training purposes or compliance no longer necessary. So they're going to need to redeploy it essentially.
Hmm.
We find is most companies are not getting rid of people. They're redeploying them to do things that actually make more sense and add more value at the end of the day. So the pushback is initially you can get pushback, but what we tend to find is that once your co-workers, your senior leadership, even the board, once they see the potential for AI and what it can do and where it can plug holes and do things that human resources can't do, all the lights go on and it's okay, well that means we can now do this. What we tend to find is you get second order issues, which is, just give you a good example. So a recruitment company, it's got 200,000 people on its database. They've got a team of 4 people on the phone all day. It's soul destroying, high churn in the team, 40 calls a day. You can imagine. We all know what that looks like. And they can get through, I think it was 5,000 people a year. And it's construction workers. So where are you? What do you do? I'm a joiner. Okay. Are you available for work? Are you not? When are you available? That's it.
Yeah.
Update the data, update the CRM, right?
Yeah.
So when are they calling? So they're calling 9 to 5. Where are these people? They're on a building site. So they're not going to be on the phone all day talking to recruitment consultants. So we got the agent to call. They did a small, we call them campaigns, a campaign on a Saturday morning, late morning. And it called 2,500 people in 4 hours. Like, could have done it in an hour if you had concurrent agents. We had one agent, did 2,500 people in 4.5 hours, has 650 calls connected. And you're not paying for the calls that don't connect. Like, unlike a human has to sit on the phone, they don't connect. Okay, they're not there. Put the phone down, leave a voicemail, update the CRM.
Yeah.
The agent could just do that automatically.
Yeah.
So they had 650 conversations and booked 65 jobs. But not only that, a human will focus on that one task. Are they available for work and when? The agent can say, oh, okay, who booked your last job? And it will never forget to do that. And what it's doing there is competitor analysis. So when you have these conversations or analyzing data, whatever it is, you can add dimensions that a human's never going to capture. There's too many things for it to do, for the human to do.
Yeah.
Whereas agents will never forget to do the upsell, the cross sell, the competitor analysis, whatever you tell it to.
Yeah. And looping back to one of the previous bits about recordings, to be able to train the agent to be able to call those 2,500 people, presumably you listened to previous recordings and you had a script and sort of stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
so
you
so
fine tune
it
the
is fine tuned.
agent.
Yeah, so we have to fine tune. So like I said, we're orchestration, right? So we build voice aid, which is sort of state of the art, right? We're at the conferences in LA talking, talking to these people who build this stuff. We're actually going to build our own infrastructure. So we're at that level. But at the customer level, it is very much about the script, the tone of voice, what it says, how does it say it. But the highly configurable, it's about the pauses, who speaks first. Do you want size? Do you want background noise? And there's so many things you can do. But you made the point earlier, people shouldn't get lost on. I always say it's quite funny. You give someone a demo, you've seen this, you give someone a demo of a voice agent, and you know what, and you know they're listening to it, you know what they're all thinking, does it sound like a human? Which is fine, right? And increasingly they do. And very soon you'll be able to tell the difference. But that's missing the point. The point is, what value is that interaction created? Maybe it would never have happened before. Most people don't even know they're talking to an AI agent. Even when they ask and you say, yeah, I'm an agent, I'm an agent for implement AI, most humans say, oh, wow, it's amazing, and carry on talking to it and then thank it at the end of the conversation. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
doesn't matter. You got to think about what's the value being created, not does it sound exactly like a human? Most people don't care as long as you're delivering value to them.
Yeah. As I said, if you're answering the phone within a couple of rings, if you're speaking to it and sorting out the problem or thing you want at the time you want, as you said with the construction worker on a Saturday morning while they're having a coffee or on a Saturday evening while they're having a beer, whenever, they're happy to interact and say, right, I've got my job sorted for Monday. You
Yeah,
know,
support.
rather than having to wait or send emails or whatever, right?
Yeah,
It's really
support.
important.
We do a lot of sales engagement agents, we call them. So, if someone's on your website, I don't know, let's say 7 p.m. on a Friday, and they leave a message or they want some information. When's your sales team want to get back to them? Tuesday?
Yeah,
Because
probably.
they
Yeah.
got a load of stuff done on Friday, and never got done. It's pathetic. So is that prospect happy with that service, or one where yes, they do speak to an AI that sounds 99% like a human, and it gives them information, gives them guidance, and then sends it by email or WhatsApp a personalized brochure with all the information they want within 3 minutes. And then not only that, let's book the call for Monday.
Yeah.
Why would you not want that?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think you touched on it earlier, but I think if people want to see the sort of power that you've got and the power that we can deliver now, go to the Implement AI website, click on Ava, have a chat with her,
Talk to her.
and you'll get that information back. So that's a really good point.
And also the other point, Andrew, is we've had this chat as well about a lot of companies, like I had a guy on LinkedIn the other day saying, well, a lot of companies can build this themselves. I'm like, what are you talking about? You're living in some like tech bubble. And most companies are not going to sit down and crank up Zapier or NA10 or Make and create some complicated workflow that's bound to break and build an agent. You know, that's what we do all day. So, and we find it complicated, and we're at the conferences and building infrastructure. So I said to a lot of companies is, a 14-year-old can build a voice agent that can answer the phone at the end of the day, but are they going to build it with the nuance, the guardrails, the responsible AI,
Yeah,
all the ability to talk to other systems and collaborate and if escalate to a human, all this stuff. It's not as simple as people think.
yeah. No, I think what, as I said, we've been working together for 3 years now since you sort of started, and those layers and what I've been seeing and the complexity there, but all from the different AI models are changing. Everybody's seeing those changing. The application levels and that above them about agent tools and things like OpenClaw, which was the big news, a couple of weeks ago, but wouldn't touch that with a barge pole because of the security and issues and all of those things. And then, as you touched on here, being able to think about workers and about how they fit into your business, not about IT tools, which is where a lot of IT departments will come from, or people within businesses. I think that's really important. And then also, I think the other point you made, which I think is really good and is really important, is that prompting, the guardrails, getting the tone right. And you've been learning from lots of customers and lots of implementations.
Yeah, we see lots of different issues
That's
of,
right. So,
and
so
you're never going to see that if you're in one little business and one
That's right. So
person.
so you can say, as we've seen when we've worked together with particular clients, is sort of work, okay, right. We've done some secret shopping, we've got some insights, and we know the tone, and we can learn from other sectors on how you can upselling in a pharmacy and in a chemist, you can upsell in your automotive business and sell them a battery or sell them an
Yeah.
MOT or sell, those things now are so powerful
We
that
also mentioned things like OpenClaw, right? So OpenClaw is this agent, if you haven't heard about it, if you because maybe you don't live in the AI bubble like us, so you probably haven't heard about it.
yeah,
And it's supposed to be like almost like a personal assistant, just does things on its own, right? Now, everyone's saying to you, put that on a separate laptop because don't let it put it on your main laptop because it could go and do something you don't really want it to. So you've got that extreme, right? And then our customers are kind of like saying, well, can we do a DPIA? So they want to do, data protection, an assessment of our information security before they even do anything. So that's the reality, not
yeah.
banking up some, funky agent that's going to go and do things on its own. Most organizations are not ready for that, not even close to it.
Yeah. So okay, so great to get the overview. Great to understand how AI can be used in businesses. How do organizations, do you think, what's the journey? What's the steps they need to do sort of first? So I'm seeing, individuals within corporates who now understand a bit about AI and they want to be the advocates, or you've got a chief executives that are saying, right, okay, I want to do the change. What do you think are the key steps for them to think about to get on that journey?
So number one, right? Think big. So think about what does the organization look like if you did it again, AI first. That's the holy grail. That's where you need to go. But start small,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because if you try and boil the ocean at AI, you read these articles, it was probably last year that 90% of AI projects don't work out, right? That's because they're doing something that's a fad, they're doing something that's cool. Forget that. Do something that actually adds value, a measurable and meaningful ROI in your business using the technology in a way we know it works today. That's where you should start, essentially. So think of things like we call it kind of lens, and then we got action agents, right? So lens is more look at the data you've got, look before you leap almost. Look at the data you've got and analyze it, and you'd be surprised at the insights it surfaces. So we do things like looking at sales calls or support calls for issues, happy customers, unhappy customers, sales opportunities, missed sales opportunities. And literally, if you've got recorded sales calls and you apply an analyst agent to it, telling you now, there's money just sitting there
Yeah, yeah,
because things were missed. Somebody they talked about something, they got distracted, and they didn't book a meeting. Whatever your sales process is, it didn't quite connect. And you can go back through it all and just find opportunity that's just been lost or missed, or the ball was just dropped, just sitting in there. Things like that. Reactivation, out of hours, analyst agents, things that are dealing with existing data. If you're not quite ready to have an agent call your customers, now we've got a FTSE 100 doing that, so you can do it. And then you've got action agents. The action agents are the ones that interact with stakeholders, customers, employees, prospects, whatever it might be. Customer success, for example, support's another great example. And set up agents to do things where humans are not capable of doing it. You haven't got the capacity. So we say focus on three things: revenue. Most customers want to increase revenue. That's what they're in business for. So reactivation, sales, outbound, sales engagement, capacity. You've got finite resources. How do I augment my humans to get more out of resources I've got? So again, automate the mundane, the obvious, the chasing up, the compliance, the credit control. And then you've got customer experience, like a sales engagement agent. Use an agent to do things in a way that your competition isn't. You know, impress your customers with
mhm,
speed of response, with information, with a one-to-one brochure, not a one-to-many brochure. So
yeah,
they're the three buckets we think you should start in. But start with something that works in your business for you and adds value. All the lights will go on, and then start to add the
yeah.
complexity.
Great.
We have an A, B, C, D, E net framework we call it. A, B is basic access, basic setup, get it working, show people, get buy-in, and then start to add more complexity, more data, and E is kind of like evolution.
Yeah, no, great steps. And go back to your first point about thinking big and thinking that big strategic thing. I'll do a plug here because I'm now running a program at Henley Business School, which is about AI strategy and implementation. Because for 3 years, 2 years, and up to summer of last year, I was doing more programs of hands on for people to see different AI tools. But we now believe as well, like you said, you need to think about that strategy and implementation, get that overview and that first. And that's why we're doing this 2 day program at Henley for executives to take that step back. And I agree wholeheartedly with you that when you then deploy AI, like in that analysis stage, there is money on the table and there's things then that you can immediately go and do and say, right, okay, these are the new sales opportunities or these are the new efficiencies that you
Now, I
want.
say, I don't know if you've got this in your program, but one thing that we come across all the time, and we wrote a guide, we've got an AI workforce playbook, it's about
Yeah,
100 pages, but you don't read it page 1 to page 100. There's a section for CEOs, CTOs, CDOs, whatever.
yeah,
But most organizations, say you want to hire a salesperson, who gets involved? Sales, HR. Say you want to deploy a sales voice agent, who gets involved? Sales, probably marketing, tone of voice, script, all that kind of good stuff. Maybe products as well. It needs product information, product access in its knowledge base. Probably C-suite because AI and everybody wants to get involved. The technical, it's got to access data and systems. So already you're up to 5 people, and there's probably going to be more. Compliance, 6, keep going. So who makes a decision?
yeah,
And
yeah,
we find that quite a lot is when you get an organization say, well, we need to do this, they don't really know who owns it, who to make a
yeah,
decision.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You've got
But
to, have a new way of engaging with
yeah,
companies.
yeah. But we've seen this in the past, though, haven't we, Piers, with new waves of technology. I go
Cloud.
back,
Cloud was a bit like that.
I go back to the .com, the 1990s. It was we need a website. It was the same stuff, right? It was
Yeah.
like, oh well, we're only indirect. We only sell through retailers. We don't sell direct and sort of stuff like that. And oh, now
Big
we've got
difference though, I
so
think. Big difference, I think, though. So I came through Web 1.0, it's my first sort of externally funded business. I came through I kind of missed social media to be honest with you, but I did a bit of e-commerce, cloud. unified comms
Yeah,
infrastructure, played around in blockchain. AI is different. So I always give this anecdote that I gave a speech last year to a big audience in London, and my speech was called "Why Financial Services Should Transition to the Cloud." Right? That was in 2025.
yeah,
I'm not making this up. I use the same notes, I just changed the headline for a speech I gave 8 years ago.
yeah, yeah,
To the same audience, the same speech. I thought, well, this is happening good. That's not happening in AI.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
I'm updating my slides on a weekly basis
yeah, yeah,
because they're out of date. I look at when we started out, when we first started speaking, you look at our decks from then and it just looks like play school. It's
yeah, yeah,
insane. So the point I'm making is in a labored way, you can't hang around with AI. Your competition isn't your current competition. It's not all those people you've all worked for each other the last 30 years. You all go to the same events and the same conferences. You all know each other. How's it going? This or that. The competition's people, especially in the information economy, they're going to do what you do, AI first, with 25% of the people, and
yeah,
it'll move
yeah,
a lot faster.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I think you made the point earlier, and in the notes, I'll show a cartoon of skate where the puck is going because
Yeah.
that the business models, the technology, the competitors are all sort of changing and sort of stuff like that. And the last one I'd throw in on where the puck is going and where the future in that is the rise of China and the implementation of China, the application in China of these technologies now. I've been seeing for years of their application of technologies and the way they are applying AI is the place to be looking as well because they're already ahead on some of this stuff of AI, but the robotics, the speed and change of robotics of AI embedded in devices is another wave of change that's going to be coming in the next number of months.
Yeah, that's going to be just as big as knowledge work, robotics, but more obvious because they're going to be wandering around our built environment,
Yeah,
literally. And
yeah,
they're very close now. These action models, world models, they're so close now to that connection between, now we've got a humanoid robot. You've met Destiny, I think.
yeah, yeah,
But right now it's a bit more controlled car, right? It can do these things on its own, but it's just replicating a human movement, right? And just playing it in like a video game, really. But that day where I can say to Destiny, go over there and get the red apple, not the green one, and pick it up and go and put it over there in that fruit bowl, and it will just know what to do and how to do it, and we'll
yeah,
do it.
yeah.
That, I mean, it's what, 2 years away tops.
No, it's there now. You look at the Unitree robots in China.
Well, Destiny's unit, I'm thinking more of like Figure AI or 11X or Boston Dynamics. They do that, but
Yeah,
they're probably 250 grand. I'm talking about a robot that's 10 grand that does it.
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, no, the Unitree robot that was demonstrated at the Chinese New Year a couple of days ago. On one of the posts I saw was $16,000.
Yeah, that's about what Destiny costs. About that, yeah.
So the price point is coming down, and the capabilities of them are going up. So
And Destiny, she's doing like dancing now and kung fu, which is a bit silly, and it's not autonomous. But it's what amazes me is that it can just do a jump kick. It can run up a wall and do a somersault. I mean, hello. Imagine when it can understand our built environment. I mean, so,
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's
yeah, yeah,
coming. So
yeah,
your business, if you think, oh well, our business is physical, it's not all about computers and information and data. AI doesn't really affect us. You're wrong.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. No, this stuff is coming. And it's been great to chat to you again, Piers, and great for you to share your insights. Thank you with our audience, and we'll share the information so people can follow up with us
Thanks, everyone. Thank
to
you.
get into implementing AI.
Do subscribe to future podcasts and do reach out if we can help you drive innovation and AI business change.